Okay, I'm here today, CPAC, with Steven Tripp, fantastic young guy. He's really making some fantastic moves, and I just want to ask him a few questions. So, Steven, really quickly, what's wrong with Australia today?
For me, it's the leadership. There's just a lack of leadership. When I was growing up, we grew up in an era of John Howard, even a little bit before then, Paul Keating. And even if you didn't agree with everything that Paul Keating stood for, he had conviction, and you knew exactly what his vision was and what he was trying to put forward for the country. We're just void of that at the moment. There's no direction. There's no leadership. There's just wishy-washy terms that they come out with, like the voice. The voice is, it's just all bred on emotion. There's no substance behind it.
Sure.
There's no real long-term vision for the country.
So really it's a crisis of leadership.
I think definitely, and it's not just Australia, it's right around the world, especially in Western countries.
Okay, so what do you think we need to do about that?
Well, we need to engage people to get more involved politically, especially the youth. I think people my age avoid, you come to events like CPAC, and I mean, it's great to see a lot of people here, but it's an older crowd. Where are all the young people? Why are they not engaged in politics? And I think, especially my generation, there's a lot of good people out there with vision that really, have some good ideas, but they're just not involved. We need to get them involved and to have real strong leaders stand up and say, hey, this is where we want to go as a country in the next 10, 20, 30 years, some long-term nation-building projects and vision.
So you're saying it's really crucial that young people, if they're upset, need to get up and do something, like maybe join a political party or just become a bit more activist about things, yeah?
Just get involved any way you can. If you don't like political parties, and do something else. There's other groups around that you can get involved in. You can get online and do podcasting, whatever you need to do. Just get involved. I think that's the main thing. You can't just sit on your hands and be apathetic about things. I think apathy amongst the voting public is the biggest problem, because they think that they look at the major parties, they look at Liberal and Labor, and they go, they're both, you basically get the same thing out of them.
Yeah.
Why should I even bother? Why should I even care?
Yeah.
Well, if you're not going to get involved, that's what you're going to get.
I think that's right. So what are you personally doing about that right now?
Well, I ran as a candidate at the federal election and the state election to start with. So that was a good experience for me, just building up my profile. I know it's a long-term process. You can't just pop up straight away and expect to get elected or to be known straight away. It's a long, grinding process. But I'm also doing a podcast at the moment as well called The Ex-Candidates. I do that with Adam Zara. We've interviewed Ian Plimer and Dr. Peter McCullough, a whole bunch of politicians and experts, and it's been a really good experience because we've learnt a lot from it. We've gained a lot of knowledge, and that helps formulating policy ideas and what I spoke about before as well, vision. Because there's a lot of really good people out there with great political minds, and if you can take a little piece from all of them, you start developing your own vision for the country. And I just think Australia has so much potential. It's just untapped potential. Like, you just look at our agricultural industry, our mining industry. Is it really at its full potential? If we could just tap into everything, why doesn't Australia have a high-speed rail or why aren't we building dams and addressing drought issues and things like that? Like, there's so many things that we could tap into. Yeah. But instead they're focusing on these renewable projects and rewiring the nation and the Snowy Hydro too. All these billions and billions of dollars they're just wasting.
So you could almost say they're fixing things that aren't really broken, breaking things in the process and not fixing the real problems.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. Yeah.
Well, look, if you could change one thing right now about Australia, what would it be?
Leadership. Get some leaders in there. I mean, if you look at the New South Wales Parliament, state parliaments and the federal parliament, who can you really point to and say, that's a leader that I want to get behind? That's a leader with vision that I want to follow. And I can't think. Maybe I like Alex Antic. He's in the wrong house. I don't think he's really displayed that ambition to be a prime minister or anything like that. Maybe he's got that in the background of his mind. But there's no one really else that I can point to and say.
Yeah, well, look, I have to agree. I think Alex Antic is very much the future, and we need to get behind people like Alex, and we need more like Alex, and I'm sure they're out there. Yeah. People are out there. It's got to come forward. All you have to do is stand up and say, I want to help, and you'll find a way in.
And look, leadership's not just about one role. It's not just about being Prime Minister. There's plenty of roles in the Parliament that we need leaders for. It's not just a one person that's going to come along and save the day. We need a whole bunch of leaders in not just the Parliament, but in all areas of our society.
I think that's right. I really think that's right. There's all sorts of things. I mean, conservative-minded, libertarian-minded people don't tend to like to go into the public service, but we need people everywhere. So I think you're absolutely right, Stephen. I think you're doing really good work, and you got to keep it up. And thanks very much for this.
No, thanks a lot.